Hi everyone, we are from Group 10 and today we're going to present our group assignment which is entitled as A Pacemaker, a Life Saviour. The human heart functions as the engine of the body. The most important function of the heart is to pump blood, and the sinoatrial node is one of the most important minor tissue in the heart to generate cardiac axial potential automatically. So, if sinoatrial node is not working properly, the pacemaker will act as an artificial sinoatrial node where it helps to control the heartbeat back to normal range by generating electrical impulses. Component of a pacemaker. A pacemaker is composed of three parts: a pulse generator, one or more leads, and electrode on each lead. There are three types of pacemaker: single chamber pacemaker, dual chamber pacemaker, and biventricular pacemaker. Treatment of disease by pacemaker. Bradycardia or slow heart is a condition where the heart beats less than 60 times per minute while at rest. Bradycardia occasionally results from improper electrical signal transmission from the atria to the ventricle of the heart. Meanwhile, tachycardia or swift heart is a condition where the heart beats exceed 100 times per minute while at rest. When the heart beats too fast, it does not allow the blood to fill the ventricles properly, resulting in squeezing and pumping not enough blood to the body tissues. This condition known as ventricular tachycardia. Dual chamber pacemaker is the best way to treat both bradycardia and tachycardia when both vagal maneuvers and medication don't work. Two leads are used in dual chamber pacemakers, one placed in the right atrium and the other in the right ventricle. Both of these leads are able to detect intrinsic electrical activity to determine the need for pacing in each chamber. It also allows synchronized contraction of the atrium and ventricles. The pacemaker works to take over the role of sinus node artificially, so when an irregular heart rhythm is detected, these two leads act synchronously, sending electrical impulses to make the heart beat properly.
Atrial fibrillation. Atrial fibrillation is a condition where abnormal electric impulses instantaneously start to generate in the atria. The impulses generated overtake the role of the natural pacemaker, causing it to no longer be able to control the rhythm of the heart. Patients who are having this problem tend to have a higher heart rate that is between 100 to 175 beats per minute. AF often happens alongside other cardiovascular diseases such as high blood pressure. There are also other non-cardiovascular factors, include diabetes, and genetic factors is also one of the risk factors. Patients with AF will be treated using medication first, but in some cases, patients do not react to these medications. Hence, the best solution is to implant a pacemaker. Usually, a single-chamber pacemaker is recommended. Single-chamber pacemaker is a pacemaker which contains only one lead that connects the pulse generator to one of the chambers in the heart. It stimulates either the right atrium or right ventricle. It generates a good electric impulse in chronic atrial fibrillation patients when the patient's heart rate drops below the normal rate. Hence, the heart rate can be maintained. Next is hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, HCM. HCM is a disease caused by a condition called hypertrophy. Hypertrophy is a condition where heart muscle becomes thickened. It causes difficulty for the heart to pump blood. It is a common inherited cardiovascular disease due to autosomal dominant mutation. If heart muscle does not respond to medication, devices such as pacemaker will be inserted inside the body. For HCM, biventricular pacemaker is recommended to be used. This device has three leads that is connected to right atrium, right ventricle, and left ventricle. Biventricular pacemaker helps to resynchronize heart. It also causes the thickness of ventricular wall to shrink over a long period. At the first diagram, you can see the difference between a healthy heart and a heart of patients with HCM. The heart of patients with HCM is much more thicker than the normal heart. The second diagram is to show how biventricular pacemaker is inserted in our heart.
The limitations of pacemakers. So we know that pacemakers can bring short-term complications such as lead dislodgement, pneumothorax, pocket hematoma, and cardiac tamponade, which will be experienced by roughly 8 to 12% of the patients. And the limitations of pacemakers can also be associated with certain complications that are related to transvenous leads, including venous blockage, tricuspid regurgitation, and endocarditis. So here are a few examples showing the complications that have been mentioned just now. Moving on, we know that pacemakers can bring limitations that are related during magnetic resonance imaging. So we have like the ferromagnetic materials like cobalt, nickel, and iron that will experience a force when an electromagnetic field is quickly changing. This will result in a net torque within the MRI scanner. And the internal electromagnetic interference can also be created due to larger antenna effects that causes low-frequency currents to be generated. The device lifespan can also be shortened because of the battery voltage that might fall owing to the device constant sensing following an MRI. We also look into the heating of the leads that could develop local thermal hotspots if the patient is not evenly covered by the radio frequency field. The term loss of capture is known as non-capture. This is when the myocardium does not respond to the electrical stimuli from the pacemaker. So there are two types of loss of capture, one which is acute loss of capture, and it is actually the lead dislodgement that happens shortly after the pacemaker implantation. So another type of loss of capture is the long-term loss of capture. It occurs within following months or years of pacemaker placement, where a rise in the necessary threshold will lead those results in loss of capture if it's possible. And this might be brought on by a lead fracture, fibrosis, medicine, metabolic imbalance, or even an exit block. So the following page shows an example of a patient who requires a pacing and has a fractured lead with noises on a ventricular lead that is single chamber. So in this diagram, the pacing, pausing, and syncope were missing due to the lead fractures over sensing of high frequency impulses.
For the last part, I'm going to give some suggestions on how pacemaker can be improved. Our group chose one material called MXene, which may improve pacemaker from various aspects. First of all, what is MXene? A MXene is essentially a 2D material consisting of transition metal carbides, carbonitrates, and nitrides. Here, the M stands for transition metal, such as titanium, vanadium, chromium, and etc., while X represents carbon or nitrogen. Briefly, to synthesize MXene, the max phase is used as template material. And here is some characteristics that MXene have. First is the high conductivity, and second is the biocompatibility, and the last one is the excellent SERS signal enhancement. These three characteristics let MXene be a material that is really suitable for biosensors. Next, I'm going to introduce two applications of MXene that has already existed. The first one is MXene-based electrochemical biosensors, and this one showed us how sensitive MXene is. And the second one is MXene is used in a wearable sensing system of human body. These two examples shows that MXene is an ideal material that we can use to improve pacemaker. Since MXene have the characteristics of really high sensitivity, it can be used to detect patient's heart rate. Moreover, there are numbers of cases that MXene is used in portable sensing systems, and pacemaker itself is a wearable and portable sensing system, so we also can try to use MXene in pacemaker. It is more important that researchers has been observed that the automatic structure of MXene play a vital role in its antibacterial activities. MXene have a stronger antibacterial effect because of their sharp corners, water solubility, and hydrogen bond with molecules of the phospholiquid bilayer. makes it suitable to be used as the material of pacemaker. In conclusion, pacemaker does play an important role in our daily life, and the demand of pacemaker actually increases. According to statistics, heart illness is leading cause of death globally regardless of gender. So even in past 10 years, pacemakers have been well developed, but we still need innovations that can make it better. And that's all for our presentation. Thanks for listening.